You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
We're live.
I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar.
All right, it is time for Happy Hour. It is the Man Cave Happy Hour, whiskey, cigars, spirits, and the stories that go along with it. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
Hey, I'm Matt Fox.
And Matt, we are in our Northville studios, Podcast Detroit.
Downtown.
Downtown Northville, that's right. But we're a little off. I surprised you on this one. I was like, hey,
you know
Matt,
what?
We got an interview in about 20 minutes, dude.
Jamie, when are we ever prepared?
Well, it's because it's World Bartender Day, February 24th here. It's World Bartender Day. And on the phone with us to talk about World Bartender Day, Lucas Huff. Lucas, welcome to the Man Cave.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So, Lucas, I got this email earlier, talking about, and you have like a very interesting mix of mastery that you have under your belt. You were a sommelier, and you became that, and then you're like, hey, I want to mix this stuff too. So you have two passions, the tasting and the mixing.
And I love a good sommelier, so impress me.
Yeah, so how did you become the taster, a renowned certified taster?
It's pretty interesting. Both my parents are chefs. I grew up in the restaurant and service industry my whole life. I mean, I was washing dishes in my dad's restaurant, just in the South Lake Tahoe area when I was like 6. So there's some child labor laws that wouldn't go there. But if it's an Italian family, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. It was like I went off when I was 12, and I'm like, how did you start doing that when you were 12?
So having two parents that are Italian and chefs, you were born with a palate.
Yeah. So accordingly, my dad was always, he went to culinary school in Florence, Italy, and he was always extremely passionate about not only food, but his wine as well. And, at a young age, he was always letting me either kind of dip my bread in the wine or smell what's in the glass. And then when I started working outside of the family's restaurants, I was always, kind of enamored by what was in the glass, like how people were able to smell, what is cassis? What does cassis smell like? You can't say it smells like cassis if you don't know what it smells like. So
what is
kind
cassis?
of smelling everything, tasting things.
So if someone was to say, what does it smell like? What can you describe it? Or because I've never heard that word cassis. Again, we're novices. So what is that word cassis?
So that's basically, I think that the easiest way to answer that is when somebody, floral is a much more vague thing.
Sure.
So instead of using a really, really descriptive thing like, this smells like exactly like chamomile or it smells exactly like lavender, you know that you can smell flowers, right?
Okay.
So when you begin to hone in your palate, when you're smelling things, you're smelling, say it smells earthy or like tree bark. You're smelling a bitter root or something like that, or you're smelling the difference between French and American oak. There are a lot of really, really unique indicators that can tell you not necessarily what something is, but they can tell you what it isn't, if that makes any sense.
It does.
So, going back to the history of how I kind of got into this.
Please.
When I started working outside the family restaurant, I got a job at a fine dining restaurant. It was kind of a local steakhouse. And every Monday, this is when I was like 16 years old. Every Monday, all the servers and all the bus boys and whatnot we'd all get together, and they would do a wine training. And I would always smell what was in it, and I could never taste it. And I really think that was one of the most beneficial things in the whole education, because I couldn't hone it down to what I actually tasted. It was always just trying to decide this based on smell and smell only. So it was really kind of, like I said, you start with earthy, or you start with floral, or you start with red fruit or sour fruit or citrus and stuff like that. And then you really begin to hone it down on really individual things, like the difference between lemon curd, Myers lemon. They all smell a little bit different, right?
If you say so, yeah, absolutely.
That's why we do this is so we can learn, and that's love having experts on. So you've moved from being the sommelier to bartending and mixing the two and mixing the cocktails. How did that evolve for you?
So when I turned 21 and I began to taste things, naturally when you turn 21, you're not just going to jump into being a somm. So I was bartending. My first bartending gig was at this beautiful establishment called Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't know if we're familiar.
You know what? Actually, you say that, but here's the thing, because I'm Jamie Flanagan. I'm an Irish boy. I love my Guinness. If I walk into a bar, my first thing is, do you have Guinness? And the thing is, it needs to be poured correctly. Am I right with that? Is there a difference when you pour a Guinness correctly?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. So I go, but here's the thing. I told you that story to tell you this story, and to interrupt your story, because there wasn't enough about me yet, Lucas. So, but the place that pours a Guinness correctly more times than any other place I'm in, and more consistently in various locations, is Buffalo Wild Wings. I kid you not. It's like, because I'll go to Joe's Irish Bar, and then they don't pour the damn Guinness right. It's like, you're killing me. So anyway, we kind of scoff and laugh, but if you're after a Guinness, man, the Buffalo Wild Wings, it's they do it right more times than not. But okay, so I interrupted. You were bartending, and your first gig was a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to back that up. We used to have beer trainings at Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah. We had a lot of crazy stuff there that was like, we would get measured on the amount of beer we would waste when we would pour. Ooh. There was a container underneath the rail, underneath all the taps, and if it exceeded a certain amount, we weren't pouring the beer properly.
Right. Okay.
Shrinkage.
So to tie into your Guinness thing, that was part of it. You're not just going to sit there, open up your tap, and wait for it until you're absolutely pure and then do it. Like, you got to learn exactly how to pour that beer, or else you're going to get your wrist smacked.
Yeah.
But after Buffalo Wild Wings, I continued my bartending, and it ended up I was in downtown LA for a little bit, and then I ended up working at a private country club in North Lake Tahoe called Martis Camp. And that was really where I got my first insight into, one, the sommelier world, but the craft cocktail world as well. So we were doing wine and cocktail pairings, and that was really kind of where all of these worlds kind of came together. And I focused on wine, and while I was focused on wine, I was bartending too. So I kind of grew up with both of them congruently, and ultimately landed me. I managed a vineyard in the San Francisco Bay Area for a little bit, and then came back home to the Lake Tahoe area, and now I'm doing the bartending thing and the distillery game.
Wow.
I like it.
Love it.
All right, so today is World Bartending Day, and just on behalf of that, you had come up with a couple special recipes to celebrate World Bartending Day. What are the two recipes that you came up with?
Oh gosh, I don't know what to.
Oh, they were all right. So it was a Fairbanks Negroni is the one they put up here, and then that's Amore.
Oh, beautiful! Those are two favorites. So you have two really different cocktails with this one. So the Fairbanks Negroni, Douglas Fairbanks was actually the first host of the Oscars and the Academy Awards.
Oh.
And
really?
And it was, when you read about certain things, I get inspired by really strange things when I'm doing cocktails. And so that one was one that it's a really unique drink, and Negroni is an absolutely beautiful. It's among the favorite among. It's a favorite among a lot of bartenders as well as consumers alike. If a Negroni is perfect, it's probably my favorite cocktail. So you get inspired by one thing and you want to make your own twist on it. So to celebrate today, you got to go with something a little bit glamorous. So that Fairbanks Negroni it's a a Bianco Negroni or a white Negroni. So you're not going to see Campari or a dark vermouth in it. I use a different bitter in there, or an Amaro, which is usually most commonly an Italian-made spirit that's incorporating a lot of bitter roots like gentian and orris and angelica. So you're gonna get that bitter in there, and then I use a sweet white vermouth. So the same stuff goes into the white vermouth, except it's made with white grapes as opposed to red grapes.
Okay.
And then a beautiful gin like Juniper Grove.
Oh,
so that's kind of the bartender focused cocktail, and then the That's Amore cocktail is more of like a kind of what I call an everyday cocktail. That one's it's an espresso, a variation of an espresso martini with fresh raspberries in it. So you have an oaked spirit, our sherry rested oak vodka, which is a vodka that's rested in used Oloroso sherry wine barrels, and then you have fresh raspberries to complement some of the fruit from the sherry. Fresh espresso, always Italian, of course. I think I mentioned that.
Yeah, you did.
And then a little half and half to point it out. So two very beautiful cocktails and very, very different.
All right. So as you're making these cocktails and you're coming up with these things, and then the everyday life of a bartender, you're sharing these things on your Instagram, the Bartender's Fable?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what else are people going to find? Are they going to find these recipes? Because I see some pictures of some amazing cocktails. Are you taking these with your cell phone, or are these set up?
Yeah, those are taken. I do take the pictures, but those are taken with a bigger camera.
Yeah, there's some nice shots.
Got to have that crisp sharpness in there.
Yeah,
and the phone does good though. I'm actually not sure. There could be a couple of cell phone pictures.
Yeah. So
you wouldn't tell the difference either way.
Yeah, for sure. So it's the Bartender's Fable. And so people can follow your story there and catch some of these recipes and the craziness. What is it? One of the podcasts on the Podcast Detroit Network here is called Tales from the Bar Side. And it's a bartender and a barmaid, and they just share some of just the amazing things that happen across those wooden planks. Do you have a tale from the bar side you could share with us of an interesting character you've met of late or of note?
Oh man, I have some amazing bar tales. I think at Martis Camp, probably the coolest things that ever happened to me was one day I was bartending, and this isn't necessarily a conversation or a story, but I'm bartending. It's a like a Wednesday afternoon, and I'm sitting there, and Larry David comes and sits down.
Oh, that's great.
And I kind of looked up, and we were at a very high-profile place where it wasn't uncommon to see somebody that you recognize, but this one was kind of a big one, so I kind of just stood there, and he looks at me and he says, the chicken parmesan was awesome. And I just start cracking up that was the first thing out of his mouth.
And I'm the master of my domain.
So that was a really fun one. No direct story in particular that I could think of off the top, but more times than not, when you're on the other side of the planks, as you mentioned, you're a pharmacist and a therapist, right?
Yeah.
So you find yourself talking to people, and sometimes I swear I have "Tell me your life story" tattooed on my forehead. Because I'll sit there, you start talking about a cocktail, next thing you know, there's a promotion or a divorce or a new baby or a deceased, and everywhere in between, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that podcast has an endless amount of really entertaining stories, because I can't even put my finger on one right now. It's Larry.
They do, yeah. And they don't. They think ahead of time, and they're not sprung on it like this. But they said one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because you're as a sommelier and as a bartender, you're very involved in this industry, and the trends happening. And Matt and I here on the Man Cave, we do all kinds of spirits. We just had recorded a new podcast with the guys from Zim's Vodka. Have you ever heard of Zim's Vodka?
I'm not familiar, no.
Okay, it's a Polish Potato vodka.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to get your mitts on it. I'm telling you right now. Zim's vodka.
Deal.
ZIMS.
And Zim's is Polish for potato.
Potato. All
So
right.
why somebody didn't grab that
Regardless.
before?
All right. So shameless plug for our boys at Zim's as we're sitting here drinking bourbon. But
But we had a vodka with them.
We had a vodka with them earlier. But talking about Matt and I talk about bourbon and whiskeys quite often, but we venture into all the spirits.
We've done gin, we've done vodka, we've done beer.
But talking about the trends, because bourbon has been on like just this boom. I mean, in the last 5-6 years, it's just been in freaking sane. So what do you see? Do you see that continuing? Do you see the bourbon boom dampening? What do you see as a trend for the spirits in 2020?
So for bourbon, namely, there's a lot of different variations. So there's kind of spirit trends, there's cocktail trends. One of the huge ones that's already happening, so it wouldn't be a surprise if I said it, is either mocktails, which are non-alcoholic cocktails, or very low ABV cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking kind of whiskey-centric, bourbon is massive. It has been massive. It will always be a staple in it's our pride and joy here in the United States. But one of the things that I'm starting to see a lot of is different variations of whiskey and people kind of expanding the palate. So bourbon by law, contrary to a lot of popular beliefs, does not have to be made in Kentucky.
Correct. We learned that, I think it was episode 5 before we figured that out. But yeah, we got that. We got that now. We're caught up.
But there are a lot of other things that happen with bourbon. Has to be at least 51% corn.
Yep.
Has to go into a new charred oak containers.
Yep.
Lots of stuff. So it has to stick in these really tight parameters that aren't really. They don't get as broad of an expression as say things like single malt whiskey.
Right.
Single malt whiskey, if you're using Scotch, namely, they do so many different things to help express the spirit differently. So you see a lot of sherry wine barrel use. So they'll age the single malt in sherry barrels. They'll do things like port wine barrels, used bourbon barrels. And so you get a really, really much more broad spectrum of kind of the grain and then the effect that oak has on it. So one of the trends that I see happening already and that I think is going to continue to explode is different whiskeys. Mm-hmm. And I think primarily it's going to come down to wheat whiskeys and single malt whiskeys, which are made with malted barley. If we're talking the cocktail game, I'll go back to it. Low and no ABV cocktails are exploding right now.
Okay.
You see things like White Claw just absolutely climbing up the ranks. It's basically a neutral spirit that's got soda in it. Mm. It's nothing. So
flavored.
That's going to continue to go up for sure. I mean, I've seen in my menu development, some of these cocktails are selling 3 to every 1 old fashioned. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
If you ever get the chance,
so you got to drop the bourbon and get your White Claws going, guys. Come on.
White Claw, no law.
May I have your finest White Claw, please?
One of the producers here at the Podcast Detroit Network. That is his poison of choice, man.
So
Randy, boy, he's our White Claw enthusiast to the 10th degree, man.
So,
if you ever get the chance. Now, if you ever get the chance, there is a documentary that I just watched recently. That's on Hulu. I'm not sure if you have Hulu or not, but the documentary is called Neat, N-E-A-T, Neat, and it's all about the history of bourbon. And if you ever get the chance, if you've seen it, awesome. But if you ever get the chance, watch it. It is just chock full of history, where the industry is going, and what drinking bourbon is all about. So,
yeah. All right. So, Luke,
You're
involved with the. Are you involved with the Bentley Heritage Estates Distillery? Are you a brand advocate for them? And what can you tell us about Bentley Heritage Estates?
So, man, I should have plugged this way earlier. What the heck am I doing?
Yeah, I know, dude.
So Bentley Heritage is an estate distillery in Minden, Nevada. Minden is about an hour south of Reno, about 20 minutes away from South Lake Tahoe, kind of a very small rural Nevada town. And the most interesting thing about it is that we are fully estate. So when we were designing and opening up the doors to this, we actually helped define what estate means in the state of Nevada. And currently that's that 85% of the raw materials you use in production have to be grown by you on the estate.
Sure. Okay.
So currently, there are very few of these in the United States right now. I think probably less than 10. Right. So currently we're growing 100% of the grains that we use to distill with. We're growing wheat, rye, corn, oats, and barley. We're malting all of our own barley for our single malt. We have 6,000 acres of grain, 20 million pounds of dry grain storage, and we're malting up to 16 tons a week.
Wow,
so
my goodness.
We're growing a lot of it.
That is unique. I mean, that is very, very unique. There's some like estate tequilas where they get all the agave from one one farm, but I haven't heard of many distilleries with that kind of operation. That's very cool. But it has to be at least 80%, but you guys are rocking 100%?
Yeah, so 100% of the grains that we're using. There are some things that we can't quite grow. We're at almost 5,000 feet elevation here. We have less than 100-day growing season. So citrus, when we're making our gins, we have to source our citrus and a handful of other botanicals in the gins. But we're well above 97% of our raw materials. We're making a bourbon whiskey, a single malt whiskey, a rye whiskey, an American wheat. We make 3 different gins ranging from a classic London Dry style gin that we call American Dry to a very floral New World contemporary style gin that we call Atrium. We're also making 2 different vodkas. I previously mentioned that we're making probably our most unique spirit is an oat wheat vodka blend that we rest and used sherry wine barrels. It's absolutely incredible. It drinks like a very light whiskey. And we're also making 4 liqueurs.
Hey, Jamie.
Road trip. Road trip. All right. So, Lucas, you said the because I went to the website and the facility looks amazing. The Bentley Heritage Estates Distillery. Do you guys do tours? Do you have a tasting room? And how far away were you from Reno again?
So we're 45 miles straight south of Reno.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
That's a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it. We're from Detroit. We step on it over here. So
I can speak from experience that it is a very heavily monitored road, as I just got a speeding ticket about 2 weeks ago.
All right. Yeah. So all right. So take that 45-minute ride. Then.
All right, it's a 25-minute drive.
There you go.
That one was a good kick to the groin there. But we're 45 minutes south of Reno, and we're just up and over the hill from South Lake Tahoe. So we're even closer to South Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
So there's all the reason in the world to come here and come see it. We have a tasting room. We do tours. Our tasting room is open Thursday through Sunday. We're doing tours on all 4 of those days, and there's actually, in addition to the tours and tastings, we open up for a craft cocktail program that was designed by myself. And we're kind of just a regular bar at night, too, that's utilizing nothing but in-house spirits. So
I like the nightlife. I like to boogie. All right. We're just, Lucas, we're a little silly. I apologize.
What are you apologizing for? This is fun, man.
Inside jokes. I feel I'm left on the outside. Come on,
but yeah, so that's, because Colleen and I, when my wife, when we go like Vegas, you can only gamble so much, so we like to go and go to the Painted Desert or the Joshua Tree, and jumping out to a distillery if you're over in Reno or Tahoe, that would be awesome. That would be just a cool little breakaway.
Yeah.
Hey, wife, if you're listening.
Yeah. They don't. Matt, who you kidding? They don't listen.
No. True.
All right. That's the beautiful thing about the podcast. We can really say whatever we want because I know my wife will never, ever listen to
it. You're not wrong.
Yeah, some good security there.
It's just, I love you, baby. Are you done with that thing yet? Yeah. Okay.
Anonymity is a lot of fun, man.
That is it. So, all right. So, Lucas, people can find you where again?
So you can find me personally, on the Bartender's Fable on Instagram. There's going to be a web page launched soon. with a number of different blog posts of my travels. I travel, over 50% of the time representing the brand, the family of brands, rather. That's Juniper Grove Gin, Source One Vodka, and ultimately Bentley Heritage Estate Distillery. And you can find me here floating around and working on cocktails and taking pictures and telling jokes. Pretty much all the time. I think I live here.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
So, yeah.
Sorry, was there anything we didn't touch upon? I think we hit it all. So the website there is bentleyheritage.com, and you should check it out. There's just the pictures here are just, I want to go. It looks like an amazing facility. So can you get tours of all the distilling areas too? Is that something open, or is it just a tasting room?
No, we have the tour program as well.
Okay.
Thursday through Sunday, it goes off, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the top of the hour. You get a full look into our distillation process. We touch on some of our ranching practices, and then we have kind of a different space for each one of the spirits that we make within the distillery.
Oh, wow.
There are 5 different stills here.
Okay.
And, we make all of our single malt whiskey in the most traditional way possible. We use custom hand-pounded Forsyth stills. We have our gin and vodkas are made on a big German-made Christian Carl still. And then we got some other R&D stuff. So the tour itself takes just about an hour, and then you get a tasting flight of all 5 of our products.
Awesome. Nice.
If someone wanted to seek you out and purchase, what you guys are doing there, could they find it here in the Detroit area? Pardon the question.
Right.
Because I was unprepared for this evening.
Well, no, because looking at the website here, I'm at bentleyheritage.com, and there is a spirits locator right on their website. So wherever people are, they can go there and figure out. But yeah, are you in Michigan? Are you where is it readily available at this point?
So we are, we're brand new. We've opened up. We actually just celebrated our 1 year, so we haven't made it that far east yet.
Okay.
But we are currently in. I know it's really a shame that I'm on a Michigan podcast and we're not there yet.
Yeah.
You know what?
We're worldwide. We're worldwide, baby.
From Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, and Arizona. There are a number of places in those 5 states that you can pick it up.
But fair, if you ever wanted to launch in the Michigan Detroit market, let us know. We'd love to help you launch.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we've done a couple of tastings with a few other brands that have launched here. It's been just kind of been a riot. So yeah, we'd love to hang out with you. So, no, thanks for taking some time and checking in with us on World Bartenders Day. It's the Bartender's Fable on Instagram and then Facebook. Not Facebook, but the website, bentleyheritage.com. So, Lucas, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, be well, man.
Cheers.
Cheers. Still recording?
So, yeah, we're still recording. It's
fantastic.
So Bentley Heritage, the line of beverages there. It's world.
It is worldwide. But the fact is,
I get emails, and I'm just like, hey, let's talk to this guy.
All right, so we're in the Podcast Detroit Northville studio.
Yes,
and we were just talking with somebody in Nevada. All right, so that's the whole thing about podcasting.
Yes,
Jamie, is that it doesn't care where we are.
Worldwide.
It's who we're talking to. And their passion is across the other side of the country, and he's doing what makes him happy.
Yes.
And you know what? That's the brilliance of the Man Cave Happy Hours. We are here to learn not just about what's local, but what other people are doing outside of us.
Yeah.
And that's why I really enjoy the Man Cave Happy Hour and helping folks understand. If you are out traveling and you happen to be in the Nevada area and you're looking for something to do, you said, going to Vegas, is one thing, but you take a 45-minute drive, and next thing you know, you are at a distillery.
I once shot a man in Rito.
Did you?
No.
Did you bury him
with my Polaroid?
All right. Say, did you bury him upside down so the whole world can kiss his ass? Is that what you did?
A little bit like that.
All right, fair.
All right, Man Cave Happy Hour. So like and subscribe. We appreciate you hanging out. We do little man cavies here and there.
Yeah, just a taste. But this was just an interview.
Just an interview. We were drinking while we were doing it. So I pulled up we had some. We're doing whatever. All right.
But find us on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the Twitter. Man Cave Happy HR on the Twitter.
Man Cave Happy Hour.
Yes. So
find it, like it, subscribe it.
Ask us a question. If there's a spirit you like, let us know, and we'll give it a taste.
Yeah.
But Jamie, your friendship.
Cheers.
Cheers.